Hello, everyone. Welcome to Or This. This is my Monday morning quarterbacking of the scriptures and the sermon for the previous Sunday, and this video is for Sunday, November 5th. I'm actually doing a little bit of Wednesday afternoon quarterbacking because I'm a little bit later in the week with doing this video. But the scriptures for that day, which was the Festival of All Saints, were Revelation chapter 7, verses 9 through 17, Psalm 34, verses 1 through 10, and verse 22, 1 John chapter 3, verses 1 through 3, and Matthew chapter 5, verses 1 through 12. Now, I talked in my sermon on Sunday about the idea that our faith is very much, has a lot of mystery that is part of it. And the mystery being not something that can be figured out and solved, but parts of it that make it kind of like difficult maybe to understand sometimes, or something that, an experience that sometimes surprises us, is out of the ordinary. So the All Saints it's always difficult when we have a festival and we have something in our minds of what that festival means, but then we have these scriptures and they sort of connect but they sort of don't. And then I know for me personally, I'm trying to figure out a way to connect with what everybody's thinking and feeling from the day, but then also trying to figure out how the scriptures fit into it, which is why I came up with the idea of mystery. The Beatitudes was the part from Matthew. The mystery is, how does this blessing of God in people's lives that seem to be suffering, how is it possible that those who seem to have the hardest time in life seem to be the ones that are blessed, when it kind of looks like people who are doing really well in life are the ones who are blessed, and how that is kind of mysterious. In the same aspect, because it was All Saints Sunday, and because we remember those who have died on All Saints Sunday, this too is a mystery, how we can still be connected with people who have died, who aren't here and yet can remain connected with us, and that's all part of the mystery. But I feel as though the scriptures are very much intended, certainly to give us hope for the next life, but they are intended to encourage us who continue to live in faith in this life, and to encourage us to live that faith every day. And so there is an aspect of this All Saints where, although we tend to focus on remembering those who have died, it is also a reminder that we are saints too. The common way of thinking of saints is people who have died who were some kind of like superheroes of the faith. We've got a list of people we commemorate as saints, Saint Nicholas, Saint Luke, Saint Patrick, and then the apostles, Saint Peter, Saint Stephen. Saint Stephen wasn't an original apostle, but became an apostle eventually. Saint Paul, another one who became an apostle eventually. But it's important for us to remember that on All Saints, we also are remembering the fact that because of Jesus' death and resurrection, for our salvation, we have been made from sinners to saints. Or we are made, while we are sinners, we are also made saints. Luther said we are at the same time both saint and sinner. But it's important for us to remember, part of this festival too is that because of Christ's death and resurrection, because of our baptism into his death and resurrection, we are born we were born into sainthood, so to speak, becoming God's children, becoming saints, just as other people that we think of are saints, but we are living now and trying to figure out how we live as saints today. One of the interesting ways that some churches have started commemorating All Saints is by not only naming those who have died in the past year, but also naming those who have been baptized in the past year, because it's a remembrance that the promises of being a child of God, forgiven forever, being a saint start at that baptism, and they extend into eternal life. And the awesomeness, the mystery of that promise of God that carries us through our lives, even if we tend to stray for a little while, even if we don't remember it for a little while, that promise remains through until our dying day and carries us into the next adventure, the next life. And so, the Beatitudes help us then as people who are living in this world living in this world now to look into the world and see the ways in which God's kingdom is present. God's kingdom is present, or see the ways in which we are intended to function as a part of God's kingdom, which is to bless and be a blessing in the midst of those who are struggling and having a hard time in life. But remembering that, one of the problems I used to have, apparently I used to have, and I didn't realize it at the time, when I was talking about going to seminary and talking about my call and whatever is, I at one point talked about if I visiting people in the hospital or whatever, bringing God into their situation or whatever. I don't know if that sounds strange to you or not, but let me tell you the reason why that's a problem. And the reason is because God is already there. We are just the ones who help point to God being there with people in their times of struggle and in their times of suffering. So maybe that's the main job that we have as a saint, is to be people who point to God where God already is. We don't bring God with us. God's already there. We just remind people of where God is, that God is with them, and what that means then. God providing forgiveness, or God providing strength and healing, or God providing peace and mercy, or God providing us hope, or God providing for us faith. And so I hope you've had a good first part of your week, saints, and hopefully this midweek reminder that you are both sinner and saint comes at a time that you needed to hear that reminder. So thank you all so much for watching, and God bless.